Hi, everybody. I'm excited to talk about sleep today. It's been something that's been on my mind recently to kind of share some information. Most likely, you know a lot of this. Maybe you don't, and maybe there's something in here that might be able to give you some ideas and how you can help your sleep habits and sleep hygiene to really get better, more productive sleep so you wake up feeling a little more rested and alert. So, there's a lot of things, of course. I'll start with the negative and we'll end on a good note. So, there's a lot of really poor health outcomes that come along with short sleep durations. And so, hypertension, risk of cardiovascular disease are increased. Insulin resistance, which goes along the diabetic way, metabolic dysfunction, hypertension, decreased immunity, so it can really have an effect on us our body being able to fight off colds that we come across out in the world where we exist all the time, and there's people sneezing and coughing, and there's just really no way to avoid it. So having decreased sleep, short sleep durations can really impact all of these aspects. And so it's important, I would hope that you would find it important and helpful to start maybe shifting some habits and finding ways that you can help your, not just how you fall asleep, but when you fall asleep, how long you stay asleep, and then the environment that you're sleeping in. So one of the important things is getting enough sleep, which is difficult. That is a difficult thing to do. It's definitely something that takes conscious effort and mindful attention to get to bed with enough time to get in enough sleep for you to start your day at the right time the next day. So working to prioritize your bedtime. And I know it's difficult, especially if you have a family, young ones that are in sports, or even just little ones. Life is difficult and it's always throwing curveballs, but doing the best you can with what you have is really what's important. Another way that when you do get sleep, to protect the sleep that you do get, even if it's not an amazing 8 hours of sleep as recommended, is to stop eating. Have your the last meal of the day, have it end 2 hours, at least 2 hours before you go to bed. And that way your body can rest instead of working on the digestion process of whatever you had to work down real quick because of whatever situation. So I know it's not always possible, but when you can, put that gap between your last meal of the day and your bedtime. Another one is alcohol, reducing your alcohol consumption, and again, a lot like with the meal, putting plenty of space between the last drink you had and when you go to bed. I know oftentimes I've talked to many people that love to have a cocktail because it helps them fall asleep, which is a very real thing. I'm not denying it can absolutely help you fall asleep, but it dysregulates your sleep and your body isn't able to move through its sleep cycles the way it should if there's alcohol in your system. And so putting that off, keeping space from your last drink until bedtime, will help in reducing its effect on your sleep. And there's of course like little sleep hygiene. These all fall under the sleep hygiene, but kind of the environment you're in, reducing the light from screens, TVs, just the general lights. They even say candlelight is actually a great way to kind of trigger the circadian rhythm, to trigger the sleep process, which the likelihood of any of us just lighting a few candles around our house before bed is not realistic. But reducing the or stopping the screen time well before bed so your body can start with the melatonin process uptake can really kick in and have that sleepy effect to help you fall asleep. The light, apparently the blue light inhibits the melatonin process, and so alleviating that is one step to kind of help the sleep process start better for you. As far as environment, having a nice cool dark room is another thing that is very helpful. The temperature, having it nice and cool, because our body temperature naturally raises during sleep, and so having a cool room helps to offset that and keep our body comfortable and more restful through the night. So I know I said I was going to say all the bad news in the beginning, but one of the biggest things that has been heavy on my mind since I read some of the information some time ago about sleep and its importance is on the brain and the effect that it has on the brain. During deep sleep, our lymph flushes, and it's like a shower for our brain, so it really helps flush all the waste that our brain creates throughout the day and kind of just washes it nice and clean during our deep sleep, which varies tremendously for everybody. But if you don't get enough of it, this process doesn't complete. And without that lymph flush through the brain, amyloid plaque can build up, and that is one of the precursors to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. And so it's a really important thing to try and protect this sleep, this deep sleep, these sleep cycles that do all these things that help heal our body through the night. It's really important to protect them and do the best we can with what we have to make them as effective as possible. And so that's something for me that I've really tried to prioritize. I had a grandfather that had Parkinson's, that lived with Parkinson's for more than 20 years, right? Yeah, right around 20 years. And it's a terrible thing to watch progress. And so I've never experienced someone close to me that has had dementia or Alzheimer's, but I've definitely had friends and loved ones that have experienced it for themselves or with somebody close to them. And it's something that whatever we can do to avoid, oh boy, we should really do it. So I hope that maybe some of these things help to maybe help trigger some thought processes and what's important and how can you prioritize your health for not just your sleep, but your brain, your body, and ultimately your loved ones. We are all really not at our best when we don't get enough sleep. And so whatever we can do in whatever little ways to put into place some protections, some barriers that we kind of guard that sleep, it's only going to be helpful for us in the long run. And one of the other things that really does help, it can even help offset some of the not being able to get enough sleep, is exercise. So if you are not able to, so for whatever, a couple of weeks, the schedule's going to be really tight, it's going to be very difficult to get in enough good sleep. Working in some extra exercise during that time can help to offset the effects, like the metabolic dysregulation. So like the glucose absorption and uptake is really helped with exercise. Our body is able to store it into our muscles instead of in our adipose tissue. And so making sure that you get in exercise I would hope that you're doing it on the regular anyway, but really paying attention to that if you see that you're struggling to get the sleep will kind of help with that a little bit. And then exercise is one of the number one proven things that help stave off neurodegenerative diseases anyway. So getting exercise in, protecting your cardiorespiratory health, your cardiovascular health is so important. Your VO2 max says is one of the number one markers of longevity. And so protecting your health is a very mindful, it takes effort, it takes your protection, it takes if you don't do it, nobody else will. And so I hope that along this journey, I'm able to give you something that helps you add little habits to your day that can encourage healthy sleep habits, healthy eating choices, exercise options, all the things that can move you to a more stable internal function. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you got some value from this. Have a great one.